would you pay 41 cents a litre to drive on this road? This is one of the most bumpiest roads I've ever driven on, and it cost 41 cents a litre to drive on it, apparently. Okay, why? Okay, so let's have a look why. Let's go over here so we can have a look at it. Right. I'll explain in a second, so we can see the vehicle and see that at the same time. Okay. What else do we want to be able to see? No, we want to be able to see all of that. Okay. Okay. I found was looking at the ABC News, and on the ABC News just in, they had your questions about electric cars answered about the federal election campaign. By the way, watch this car here coming the other way. We had to practically stop, let this guy pass, and his wheel was bouncing all over the place. So we went to the ABC News. I went to the ABC News just to have a look about things about cars and that, and electric cars. And one of the things that came up about it was this down here somewhere, about various things, how long your cars. So I thought, how long is your battery supposed to last, etc. So I went to another site, had a look at that, see how long your battery's supposed to last. But I found out this thing, this particular item here. For each litre of fuel you buy, you're contributing 40.9 cents to the government coffers to build and manage roads. But unfortunately, with the development of more fuel-efficient roads, less fuel is needed. So less revenue is being collected. All right, so there's a problem. Okay. Electric vehicles present an even bigger problem. If your car does not require fuel, as in carbon-based fuel, therefore you don't pay any excise. So someone's put a little comment down here that basically says roads aren't free. We have to pay for road infrastructure, and we have to pay for the transport infrastructure, and that means paying for them through your tax or paying through user charges, he said. So what these people want to do is some sort of a user pays scheme that's going to fix things up, supposedly. He wanted to see a user pays scheme where drivers pay based on how much they travel rather than how much they use. Just by the way, I just go over here so we keep that some videos going. All right. Okay, so if that's the case in the future, what the problem seems to be that our present system is reasonably fair, that the more you use the road, the more fuel you use, therefore the more you pay. The bigger the vehicle you use, like you drive a truck or something like that, therefore you use more fuel, therefore you pay more. So that's the way things work. That's okay, except one of the problems that's always been highlighted in the story is that as vehicles have got more fuel efficient, the revenue from fuel is decreased. So there's a graph down here somewhere. There we are. That's showing the number of kilometres travelled, right? And that's showing excise. So people are travelling greater distance and paying less excise. So as a consequence, the government's going to run into trouble. So what do? They'll probably just, for the time being, just increase the excise on the per litre fuel. But then as more people move to electric cars, that's going to create a problem. It's going to be a situation where in the future, all right, the people, or even at the moment, because the people that have the most expensive are able to afford these electric cars, they don't pay any contribution to fuel excise at all. So there's this idea of what we're going to do is have a way whereby you are charged so much a kilometre. Now, how's that going to work? And also, how's that fair? If it's so much a kilometre, then how's it going to work, the difference between cars and trucks? And how do you know if you're driving a car or a truck? Something like that, all right? So, by the way, I'll just stop that again. X that, I just want to keep this going. Play from here. That'll keep them going to the next video when it goes on. So how are we going to have a situation where trucks pay more than cars? And then what happens? And then what do you got to do? Report every single vehicle that you own. And then how's the reporting going to be done? All right. One of the things that's been suggested is some sort of a thing where it connects to the GPS of the vehicles. Now, that's one way of doing it, but means that you have to have a GPS for that. However, you don't. Most modern vehicles already record how many kilometres they do, and it's recorded into the car's computer. Does that mean, therefore, that you have to once a month or something like that plug your car into some sort of device which measures how many kilometres you've done, and therefore you pay your levy for road maintenance based on that basis? And what about if you travel on different roads, and what happens about ways of people overcoming that sort of problem? There will be overcoming that situation. There will be situations where people or rig some way. People already rig meters on cars when they sell them secondhand to make the car look like it hasn't done as many kilometres as it has. And that's even easier done nowadays than what it's done in the past. So what's going to happen? So it's an interesting concept. How are we going to get enough money in the future to do cars, to be able to pay for the making of roads? Of course, the other alternative is we don't, in the lot more distant future, we don't have roads at all. We don't have road infrastructure. Everybody just flies everywhere. That's possibly for the long distant future, but there has to be an intermediate one. So what are we going to do about it? Don't know. Okay, all right. Let's just jump forward a couple of things in here. So that's my trip around Tasmania. All right. Jump to a lake. All right. Anyway, be interesting what other people's thoughts are about how we're going to have revenue to fund roads in the future. Okay, that's it for the moment. I'll stop the broadcast.